Good evening and welcome to the Hugh Hatrick Show. And it's one of our first interviews of the MSA Cup. And with me tonight, two very special guests indeed. It is MGR Laquera. Say hello, Laquera.
Hello, guys.
And of course, we have a captain wearing his captain's cap. It is, of course, Sean, AKR TNR Jet. Good to see you, Sean.
How's it? How's it going, you? Hey, Laquera.
Very good indeed. Well, we're very excited to have you on
How's it?
board because you are tier two drivers. Had a very controversial race on Monday. In fact, we were trying to figure out who was first, who was second, and who was third, and we still
We
don't
still
know.
don't know.
So it's all up there. My goodness, you need the FIA to kind of do a steward's inquiry to see exactly what's going to happen. But I'm sure we'll find out in the long term what has happened there. But you are part of MSA. We've done 4 rounds now, two great cars. We had the Porsche Cayman to start with, and then we had the Peugeot RCZ, which is an older car, but and quite a tough car to drive. But let's have your thoughts first of all, Laquera, on the round 4 there that you just did there on Monday night. How did it go for you?
Oh, I was in tier 3. I got demoted to tier 3 because of my reckless driving in race 3. And yeah, man, I got a yellow card and a quali ban, and of which I didn't save my quali ban. I totally forgot about it, because I had a busy week. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm late for racing. Let me just hop on and just go for it. And then it slipped my mind completely. And then I thought about it after the race. I'm like, flip, I've got a quali ban. So I
But they
had
let you
to, I had to,
start. Did they let you start from that position? Did
um,
they?
they didn't, no one notified me, nothing whatsoever on the thingy as well. Like everyone just kept it moving. But I
Yeah.
self-reported myself,
All right.
because at the end of the day, I don't want to get banned or get a racing ban or
Yeah.
something. I mean,
Yeah.
so I was in tier 3 and I finished the first place.
All right.
So
Excellent. So you won your race in tier 3.
yeah, I
But
won my race.
and how about you,
I-
Sean? How did your race go on Monday night?
Well, mine's the reverse to Laquera's. I was in tier 3 up until round 2. Then I got a third place. I got promoted into tier 2, and then on my very first race, I was really excited. Oh, sorry, race 2, I got promoted. Race 3, I was really excited. I qualified, I think, about 9th out of the, or 10th out of the 13 guys that were racing. And my firmware had not been updated since I bought my Fanatec. And it meant I started creeping at the line.
No.
Even though I had full brake on, I had full throttle going because I wanted to launch. And I started creeping and I couldn't understand why. Obviously, that becomes a penalty. And as soon
Yeah.
as the lights went green and I got released, sort of, so to speak, I had no control over the car whatsoever,
Oh
steering,
no.
brake, whatever. So I got lots of damage. I went straight into the first wall that was in front of me. I grabbed the controller, I wobbled around to the pits, put it on pit 1, and then I had to think about my whole strategy. I had to change what tires I was going to use, how much fuel I was going to use, and it just destroyed my race completely. And I finished stone last. I got lapped, but because of all the penalties like Laquera and a few other guys got, I actually didn't get demoted. I ended up finishing
All right.
9th overall. So I got to stay in tier 2. And this last race was fantastic. I put in a lot of work with my mate Nick, TNR Vortex, and I got a 6th place. I was running up as high as 2nd for a while. And then just my last stint, my lap times weren't too consistent. So I lost a few positions, but I'm absolutely ecstatic that I survived tier 2. And I'm hoping to survive one more round so that I get locked in tier 2.
Yeah. It sounds like we need to see the replay of the
It
tier
was,
2 race, actually. I think that could be a stunner. And that we'll need
yeah,
to see if Robin can get it or whoever saved that replay. We need to get it shared so that we can see exactly what's happening. So,
Yeah.
because tier one, I mean, obviously it's everyone's going for it, but we've seen some great driving and some actually quite respectful driving. I mean, good overtakes. What do you think makes the difference there between tier one being quite working quite well and then tier two having a few more incidents?
I always think of it as tier one are the snipers, because they're highly skilled and they know exactly when to strike at the right time. They never make mistakes. Basically, tier two are the guys that'll kill you with an axe.
Yeah.
That's the difference. So I think tier one, what makes him so good is they've got experience. And they know exactly how far you can cut certain corners on certain tracks. They've got that down taped, so you're already good for, I don't know, maybe a 1/10 of a second per corner there. And the ability to drive really close to each other without bumping each other. That takes a lot of experience. And knowing when to go for the knowing when to go for the move or when to hold back. That's what the tier one guys do really well.
Yeah, and that's the hardest thing. I was racing today in race B at Spa, and it's being able to be close, but watching out, because sometimes if people spin out, they always seem to come right across, and especially on those racing hard tires where there's not much grip, and then if it doesn't ghost out in time, you can be a few car lengths away, but just at that point you've got nowhere to go, and you'll hear the crunch, as you hit them or whatever, and it can be quite tricky. But and they seem to be a lot of the time as well in daily races using racing hard tires quite a bit, so there's not a lot of grip, isn't it? At least with SMA and MSA, we use some good tires that give you plenty of grip and a good choice. So the strategy can play such a big part. But I'll go to you, Laquera, and I'll ask about the Peugeot RCZ. What do you think of that car? Have you been quite happy driving it?
Yeah, I've been content with it. It's not because I've got like 2,000 kms there, so I drive that car a lot.
Oh, right. Oh, wow, yeah.
I really didn't mind using it, actually, because people are complaining. They're saying, "Oh, it's understeery." And I'm like, I might have an advantage here. I don't know. But I really enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. What I'm wary about is the next one, the surprise, the special one. I'm really, really wary about it because I just can't get a hang of it.
Now is that the Volkswagen
IDR?
That's going to be an interesting one because it's one of these supercars, isn't it? The kind of the high end ones. Yeah, and they're the hypercar. So it goes at some speed, and also braking can be a real issue. So how do you think you're going to handle a car like that then? Because it's at Laguna Seca, isn't it, for the next race? I mean, that's a tricky track because it's very short. That's going to be mayhem.
And the overtaking, you can't really overtake there. I don't know how people go about that race because there's no really overtaking zones there.
I'll show you a turn one.
Oh, that's my welcoming in the lobby win at turn one.
Exactly. Win the race at the first corner.
Every time, first corner.
People say the race isn't won on the first corner, but I seem to remember Verstappen made a move on the first corner a few races ago, and that won him the race. So
Imola did that at Imola, didn't he? He did it on Piastri, didn't he? Got past.
No,
that's the thing. That it's exciting watching it. I mean, I think there's some great combinations with MSA Cup. I have to say that I know the new guys were commentating on Monday there, but I was thrilled to watch the race at the end. And when I got back from my meeting, I then watched that, and it was great to see it all. So no, it is good fun, and the skill level is very, very high, because when I joined one of the lobbies a few weeks ago, and I was nowhere. I was like 2 seconds slower than Levitius. And I did go for a wee while, but it shows you just how quick they are. But you guys are right there as well. It's not much between you, so it's great to see the results that you're getting. Now, Nicholas Van Staden has said, "Does Sean wear the pilot hat when he races?"
No, I only wear it when I go shopping.
I was going to say when you're on your motorbike and that, or driving your car, and that come around, make sure everyone knows you're a captain. And that was the thing. But no, that's the thing. And how?
I was just going to say, Corbin asked me in the first interview that I was part of, why aren't I wearing my cap? So I thought, well, if my team captain says I must wear my cap, I better wear my cap. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. And how do you think, for now that you've had 4 races down, it's a 10, or no, it's an 8-race championship, this one, isn't it? Or is it 10? No, it's 10. It's 10. 10. How do you rate your chances? I'll go to you, Laquera. Where would you like to see yourself finishing? Because at the moment, you think one more race before everything's all locked. Where would you like to go from here?
Now that I've got like 2 quali bands, right? So I'm serving my first one on Monday. So I'm starting at the back. So basically, I'll be driving to surviving in this race, and on the next one, I'm sure it will be locked, and I'm looking at tier 2. But from then, I'll just try my utmost best to be in the top 5 and until the rest of the thing is the races, or win, or whatever. I don't know, because I looked at the tracks there. There are 3 favorite tracks of mine. There's the Monza, Dragon Trail. I can't remember the another one, but I'm looking forward to those races a lot. The Nissan GTR is my favorite car, so I'm just looking forward to what will people do with that car, because that car is a feisty lady. So and so.
And for you using a controller, what do you say are the skills you need to make that work really well, and to get a good time, a good qualifying time, and get a good result?
No, for me, I don't use my R2 and L2s to throttle and brake. I use my analogs. So that allows me to trail brake and throttle again, and just adjust or moderate my throttle. So but all I can practice makes perfect, time and time again. Because if you don't practice with the controller, and that's the only thing that you have right now, I'm sorry, but you're not going anywhere. You'll be sitting there. You will just you don't want to do anything. You're just there. So just what I do is practice. I look at the times. They're like, okay, let's say Kennels set a 110 for argument's sake.
Yeah.
And I make it a point that when I set my time or my fastest lap, it's more like 800th, or 800 thingy, half a second or somewhere there, That's I always gauge myself every time, or a second rather. I'm like, okay, I'm a second behind. That's fine.
No. Now, Nicholas has come up with another statement for you, Sean. He says, I wonder if Sean should rather play Microsoft Flight Simulator with that cap. He's not going to get away from that cap. He's not going to get away from that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, he's going to rag me about it. He's probably sending me messages on my phone, and I probably shouldn't read them out loud.
Oh, that's it. That's the thing. So where do you see the MSA Cup going? Because it is a very exciting championship. Who do you think is going to be at the top of round of tier 2? And what are your thoughts as well on tier 1?
Were you asking me? Sorry.
Yes, Sean, yeah.
Oh, sorry. I think in terms of tier 2, look, I've just been promoted there, and so I have seen who's driving there. I think Robin or Puma Racing, the Joker, he'll be near the top because he kind of hovers between tier 1 and tier 2. And I think, you see, it depends on the tracks and the car combinations. I don't know the guys well enough to know who's strongest in those cars at that track, because everyone's got their favorite tracks, their favorite cars. Some guys prefer 4-wheel drive cars. Some guys prefer rear-wheel drive, mid-engine. There's so many variables. But I think the guys that are consistent are like, I would say Robin, Maverick's very consistent. Dino, MVR Dino, he's very consistent. Those are the names that kind of stick out. FBR Quinton, he's also right up there. And then, of course, my mate Nick TNR Vortex, he was just unlucky with bad damage on lap 4, so that took him out of the race. He's very quick, so I think Nick will be up there in the mix as well for tier 2.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. And I'll go to you, Laquera. What do you think of tier 1? It's been a great battle there, and Richard, BSR Richard, is still ahead of Levitius just by a few points. In fact, the total points are just.
I thought Levitius passed him now.
All right. Well, we've got from here after round 4, Richard has got 1,190 points, and Levitius is on 1,184.
Oh, okay.
So he's still holding him off.
Yeah.
Levitius has 2 wins. But it's fantastic the way the whole thing has really opened up, and Levitius is really having to battle, which I think he wanted to have other drivers to race against. But what's your thoughts on that, Laquera?
It's actually a tough battle because you can't really say who's gonna nick it or whatnot, because Richard is actually a quick guy. He's very very fast, the fast driver, and also Leviticus he won the last season championship. So it's a very very tough one. And also there are also guys there in tier 1 that who are actually proper there, who can actually surprise you and take points there and there, all run close. So it's actually a tight one. I can't really say. Same applies to tier 2 as well. Like, it's a very very tight ship. You just do not know what could happen, or who would win or whatnot, So
that's great. Now I'm just saying to everyone watching, and to you all, if you got any clips of the tier races, we can actually show them here on StreamYard. It allows us to show short videos of up to 10 minutes. So we could show a famous overtake. If you've shared the replay or saved the replay and wanted to make a wee clip, then we can always do that, or because you can actually bring it yourself and we just add it on, and you can share it so that the public can see just what kind of racing they're missing out on if they're not already watching it on the Monday night. But that would be fantastic. So hopefully we'll get some respondents to that, and we can go from there. So what do you think? You've got the Nissan GTR coming up. You've got the Volkswagen ID 9, I think it is. Is it the ID, the hypercar? IVR, that's it, IDR. That's an amazing machine. What else do you think might come up in the following races? Or I know they're yet to be announced, but would you have any preferences of cars that they might choose?
Now, the other car is the AMG 20 Mercedes.
Well, that's a good one. Yeah.
So that's also a proper car. So and I usually use it in daily races as well. So I'm looking forward to. It's gonna be, and I think it's in Monza. Yeah, we're gonna race there in Monza with that car. So I'm looking forward to it.
That's the one that they use for the time trial as well, isn't it? They recently did a Mercedes time trial. That's actually quite fun. That's quite a good one. That the cars are definitely getting better. There's no doubt about it. GT7 are putting a lot more effort into giving us the cars. We've got the Lancia Delta Integrale. That was a great one. I enjoyed the time trial for that last week. And then of course we've got the Citroen BX, which is over here in Europe. Was a very popular car. There were hundreds of them. They sold thousands of them. It was a bestseller. And what else did they have? It was a Citroen. And then there was something else that wasn't quite so. Well, that's right. Peugeot 2008. I don't know what possesses. I don't think that's going to be a future classic in any case. No. And I don't mind times when they put a Suzuki Supercarry or one of their kind of funny little things, because you can have a laugh with them in the lobby, that kind of thing, isn't it? But Peugeot 2008 is not maybe what we were hoping for. I
would rather win a high performance crankshaft for a Unimog than get one of those cars.
See, the BX was different. It's funny, there's another YouTuber called Arky74, and he's from the Netherlands, and he's very good on the controller, does great times on the time trial, quite often gets into the top 20 and top 30 in the world. on the. I've interviewed him a few times. He's a lovely guy. He's a musician. I think a lot of musicians are very good on controller. It must be the fingers of playing the piano and doing all these things that kind of allow them to be able to be so good. But he is a big Citroen fanatic, and he's got himself a Citroen BX that his wife is plaguing him to get rid of, and it's sitting there I think in his yard. So whenever I mention Citroen, when I did my video last week, and I said, Arcades, you're going to love this. You've finally got a Citroen BX in Gran Turismo 7. So we'll have to see how he gets on in doing it. But at least that car was quite good because it did handle well because it was made out of plastic. So it's and it had this wonderful feature that the petrol tank was right in front of the rear bumper. So if you got hit from behind, it kind of went up in smoke, and that was it. It kind of melted around you. It was.
And what about if you're the one hitting someone from behind?
Well, yeah, that's it. Or you reverse into somebody. Yeah, that's it. It was going to crumple. They weren't known for their strength, but it was incredibly light. It was less than a ton. It was 995 kilos. So yes, it was quick, and the handling was brilliant because it was so light. It could turn in. So it's kind of like the Peugeot 205 GTI, and it was the same group, Citroen PSA group. And at that time, they were all making these great cars. And you look at it now. I think, in fact, recently Peugeot made, was it a 308 GTI? I think it's an electric GTI, and it's, I don't know how many tons it must be. That's the difference in the cars nowadays, isn't it? They're so heavy, but even 10 years ago, you got cars that were quite light. I used to love like the Renault Megane, the 280 RS. They were great cars. I used to get them in Europe a lot. Oh, fantastic machines. But what were your kind of hot hatches? Did you have a favorite car that you liked? I'll start with you quickly, Sean.
Oh, without a doubt, I had a Opel Kadett Superboss.
Oh yeah.
Very, very. It wasn't available in the rest of the world. It was produced in South Africa by the Opel racing team, basically. It had a Cosworth developed head. It had Shrek cams in it, and this is all as standard. And it was also featherlight. I think it was 1,060 kilos, somewhere around there, and it had 125 kilowatts, which isn't a lot by today's standards, and it had 225 newtons of torque. But the newtons of torque, it actually had a record. The first car to surpass the Opel Kadett Superboss for its torque per liter capacity was the Ferrari 458, I believe.
Really?
That was the first, and that's from 1992 until whenever the 458 came out.
Yeah.
That was the first car to break, 112 odd per
ton. Because the Hondas were always good, wasn't it? The Honda VTECs, they tried to get 100 horsepower per ton or more. I remember they did a VTEC that was a 1.6, and that was 160 horsepower, and that was in the GTI that they had, and that was a nice car. But to get more than that, that is. And what about you, Laquera? What's your favorite hot hatch or car that you've had?
Well, I haven't had a hot hatch. I haven't owned a hot hatch before, but I've been in one. So I would say most likely it's the recent one, a Type R.
Oh yeah, Pacific Type R. Yeah.
Very quick. Yeah, there's still no. I think the last one that is actually a proper hot hatch was in 2016. And that's about it. Yeah. But I like the Type R. Really, really love it, and it's very quick. It's very, very quick. It's like 235. I mean 228 or 230 kilowatts. So it's really proper.
Yeah. It's amazing how they can put that through the front wheels, and it still works. Yeah. That's quite an impressive achievement. And now Nicholas has said, "Why is Sean not having a beer tonight?" I think on the last interview you had a glass of beer there.
Because it's so cold.
Oh, so cold. That's the one. And he says the Porsche cars in GT7 are fantastic. The GT3 RS tuned to the max is a Group 1 killer. Yeah, that is. Even the standard GT3 RS, I love that car. It just makes such a nice sound. And I think it's one of the cars that they really got right with the handling. It feels right. From a simulator point of view, it's just lovely to drive. Even the Cayman. I like the Porsche Cayman. I think they've done a good job with that. That's a really nice car. Now, Parquet is saying hello. It's good to see you, Parquet. I do hope you're well. And you can put your questions to Sean and Laquera. We were going to have Robin as well, but I believe he's running a bit late, so he might not be able to join us tonight. But we're getting plenty of chat all about MSA and GT7. And of course, there have been rumors that there's going to be another track coming in the next update. But that's because I think they've been desperate to try and do something with that for a little while. What do you think, Sean? Do you think might do it?
You know, it would be fantastic. But I don't know how it works with the licensing and that. Obviously, Polyphony has to have some kind of agreement or pay some kind of amount of money, or the tracks do. I don't know how it works, but you know, it would be so nice to have Kyalami, because it is involved. It is involved with GT racing, so it kind of makes sense. The problem is, you know, South Africa is such a small market, so I don't think that Polyphony even considers us. Like, they don't. We're such a small market, we're insignificant. So they would rather keep, let's say, players in North America or in Europe happy by giving them tracks that they want. I don't know. It's just my thought.
Before they mentioned the Hockenheim ring, but to have the old Hockenheim ring.
Oh, yes,
that would be amazing. And you kind of think the license
would be awesome.
Right for that.
It's actually a beautiful track. Very beautiful.
Yeah,
track.
Even the new one's not bad, to be fair, but the old one was phenomenal. And they think they could license that now, no problem, because it's no longer there. So you think they would be able to put it in, and I think that would be very popular.
I think before. Sorry to interrupt you. Yeah.
No. Carry on.
I was going to say, I think before there's any new tracks that come out, they would rather reinstate tracks that they have had in the past. I mean, it makes financial sense, you know. I think they're probably holding off for PlayStation, for GT8, and they're going to launch it with a bang, because there's a lot of competition coming through onto console from quite a few games. I mean, there's about 5 games that have said they're coming through shortly onto PlayStation. So I think Polyphony is holding off on some really nice tracks and cars for when they launch GT8.
It's amazing the tech that's gone into all these games like LMU, and even just GT7 is brilliant. I kind of think we need to have more of these in the schools, because you think when they try and teach people how to drive, really it should be a matter of every school should have a proper rig, and they should be teaching people to do the basics. So you get into your car, have your driving test, or you can have your kind of your what do they call it, your simulation test, so that you'd learn how to do it basically in the rig. And once you're safe enough to do that, they let you in the car, and that would probably save an awful lot of money and a lot of bent metal from people kind of having a go themselves at the moment and trying to do.
Well, judging by some of the youngsters that are in SMA and watching how they drive, the last thing I want to see is them on the road.
Yes, it would have to be a very different type of. They used to do that in Britain. One of the main driving schools, the BSM, they had an old, it would have been an Opel Corsa. At that time we called it the Vauxhall Corsa, and it was a cutout of the interior with 3 big old television screens, the big bat boxes to them, and it had you had a steering wheel, you had all the bits and pieces. It was actually almost as expensive as having a lesson in the real car. I think the real car was actually worse. But the Corsa that they had, you did the gears and the whole thing, and it did actually work, to be fair. It was quite basic. That was in the early 2000s, but people used to pay about £20 an hour to go in the simulator. And I think that was a better experience than driving an Opel Corsa in real life. But they were pretty shocking. The ones that they had for instructors, certainly they were terrible things. Only car that they produced, I don't even think it had anti-roll bars, and then they used that as a learner car. It was truly awful. And but yeah, no, that was the thing. Now Nicholas has asked, who does Sean use as his benchmark when he's chasing times on the time trials and Quali Kings? I wonder if I know the answer to that.
Well, it's a 3-step approach. the first few times I'm driving, I'm aiming for my mate Sven. His Blade 007. He introduced me. He introduced me to online racing last year, October. He invited me along. So he's the first marker that I have. And once I've passed him, then I move on to Nick, who's obviously asked the question because of that, because he likes to brag that he is ahead of me most of the time.
He needs some ego building tonight.
Yeah, he's looking for compliments. He's looking for compliments. Maybe I should open a photo app of him on Facebook, and just show everybody so he can get some exposure. No, I'm kidding. So that's my approach. So I've got two people that I benchmark, and I try and get as close as possible to Nick. I maybe beat him in the season. I probably only beat him like 10% of the time. He's just a little bit quicker than me.
Well, it's good to know that who your benchmark is and what your plans are to try and beat him. Flawed Genius is in. It's good to see you, Sean. I'm very pleased you can make it into our session here. It's good to see you. And we were just saying how good the Tier 1 race was on Monday. I watched the race late on Monday night, and it was fantastic. In fact, we're going to try and get some clips from the races so that we can show them on the interviews here. Now, he said he learned to drive in a Rover Metro. And do you remember those tiny boxes? They were there. Wow. The Rover Metro was another very basic car, very light, but had phenomenal handling. Especially the original one was pretty terrible, but the Rover one that was kind of the second generation, they really improved it. And I remember we used to take it on the back roads in the Scottish borders when I was about 17 or 18. And we always used to get them as courtesy cars. So when our car was getting serviced, they would give us one of these. And when you're 17 and your parents give you the keys, and they say, "This, don't damage it," whatever, you know. So, and I would race away on these back roads, and this thing used to be able to hold on to the corners so well because again, it was very light, and no one suspected you of driving it that fast because it was usually like it was an old granny's car, it'd be your Auntie Mary that would have got a wee Rover Metro and travelled around the town, but we used to make them fly and burn rubber, wherever we could. Now, Florida's saying, guys from Tier 2, Sean and Laquera, it's nice to see you both.
That was
Hey, Sean.
And I was going to say to Sean as well, how did you get on with your new co-commentary team? It sounded very good from what I could see on the replay. It sounded like it all went really well. And for the rest of the season, it's going to be excellent. I think you two, do you watch the Tier 1 race after your race?
Oh, yes. Yeah, definitely.
That was the right answer. That was the
Look, we're there. I mean, we've got teammates, right? So, and you want to support your teammates. What was nice, like for me, to see how Lawrence did so well. TNR Lightning Lorry, how he did so well. It was. I'm not sure if it's his first time ever in Tier 1, but to be promoted into Tier 1 with the level that it is and to not get demoted straight away is incredible. I think he had a fantastic drive. And of course, we've got quite a big team and all the TNR guys represented. We've got a really, really quick new guy, Dylan, who's a panic potato.
Oh, yeah, he's very good.
He's come out of nowhere. And he's sitting right with Levitius for I don't know how many laps. Is that's really impressive,
Yeah. No, it's fantastic, isn't it? I hope to have Sean in one of these interviews as well as we go through the season. I think it'd be great to have him in. And to get
Mr. Hugh, what's your benchmark? Who do you use as a benchmark?
Who do I use as a benchmark?
For time.
Time travel. Oh, that's in it. Well, I've got my good friend Cars Ian, who I've known for a long time. He's been a follower of my channel. I've got Arkies. I tend to use Tidney's Ghost. I'm nowhere near its times, but sometimes I'm maybe a second away or maybe 7/10 away if it's a very short circuit. Tidney is really, really good. I've actually interviewed him before, and really good guy. But I'm just trying to think who's always near me. There's a lot of the is it thingy MGR? Oh, it's like manager. What's the one? One of your colleagues there in the MSA or was in SMA, got quite a few guys, and like Vortex and others. I see the names coming up, so yeah, no, we've got quite a few in there, and Kennels as well. Sometimes when he does them, so yeah, so we're always. I try and get obviously within the 3% for the time trials, and I usually manage it. The only ones that are tricky, I hate when they do it like at Lake Louise, the rally things there. That I never get the rally. Oh,
I don't even do the rally ones. I don't bother.
I don't do them as well.
I don't understand the dynamics. I
Yeah,
need someone to actually tell me or to coach me on how to drive them. It just doesn't make sense to me. I come from obviously a motorcycle racing background. So for me, everything is in line. There's no, I mean, you can drift out of the corners, but it's not, unless you're Gary McCoy back in the day, that's not the quickest way. The quickest way is to be precise with corner entries, your braking, your trail braking, your acceleration.
I think it's
rally. Like rally is not, or maybe it is for the high level rally drivers, but for me, it just I can't do it.
The no.
It's a funny thing because in real life, if you drive in the snow, it's quite fun and quite easy. In terms once you get used to it, if you've got a decent car or a car that's suited in the snow, it's quite easy to kind of get the back end out and slide around and still have, that's the only area where I feel on GT7 that's maybe not as accurate, because obviously the top guys are able to kind of flick the cars in and do stuff that and get their braking, which I just don't think you could do in a normal rally stage. It'd be interesting to see how proper rally drivers do on a sim. I mean, I know a lot of the top guys do the sim work as well, but I think GT7 is probably not the best rally sim in that way. I think for what they do, because I feel I could drive cars much better in real life. I had a BMW 540 with a great V8 engine, big estate car, and it was phenomenal in the snow. All the areas that you think it was terrible at, it did really well. And I used to go to the IKEA car park when it was snowing and drift in the car park because it was great fun. And that when I was trying to impress at that time my girlfriend, who's now my wife. So it was. You
obviously drift quite well.
It's a famous phrase. And it was like, and it was, and off you go into the nearest solid object. But it was great fun. Now there's a few comments here. Nicholas has said Hugh is very fast with the terrible handling cars. That's true. I was going to reply to that one. I'll say that's because I drive terrible cars, so I know how to get them to go around the corner. But I struggled to beat Hugh on most of the daily time trials. Well, I was going to say because my new wheel has made me a little bit faster. I maybe gained about half a second overall. But yeah, it just takes practice. And although some people recommend using Ghost, others don't. I know Levitius, when I interviewed him, he doesn't recommend using a Ghost. But I still do, because I find I need something just to keep me up, so I can kind of keep on their tails a wee bit, just so, up to most of the the first two sectors. If I'm anywhere near them, I think, right, that'll give me a reasonable time if I don't mess up the third sector kind of thing. So that's all good.
Well, it's easy for Levi or Levitius to say not to use Ghost because he doesn't have that many ahead of him. We've got who's going to teach him how to drive? He's going to have to take the top guys in the world to use as a Ghost.
One of those days where the tier 1 guys used to save their replays and they would like go there and watch, like load Ghost, and let's see.
and so I'm part of the same team as Levi, TNR, and so he does load lap guides for us. And when you watch the lap guide and you compare it to your lap, it looks the same.
Yeah,
it really looks the same. You can replicate it all you like, but the clock, that timer on the bottom left corner, is always different. It is. You can brake at the same point. You can have the same line, but somehow the top guys are just. I think it's got to do with how accurate they are with what brake pressure they use, and when they come off the brakes completely and transfer onto the accelerator, how smoothly they do that. I think that is probably where those guys make up the difference.
Yeah, it's a thing, isn't it? I think their concentration is so good as well, because I found like today I was when I was doing the time trial, I follow Woody Boy. Woody Boy does really fast times. Sometimes even beats Tidgney with his times. I think he done like a 20.9, or was it, or a 42? Oh, a 40.9. I think he had done, and Tidgney had done a 40.6. And I was struggling with a 42.3, you know, with this Ferrari. But I managed to keep up with them the first two sectors, and I was kind of amazed. I was so amazed it kind of almost put me off that I'm still anywhere, you know, that I'm almost within the ghost, you know, as you're just about there. And then he just drove away going down the kind of bottom, is it Low Cow or something, the one where Lewis Hamilton overtook Glock to win his first title, going down there, and he just drove away. But it's how they do it, because I can concentrate, I think, for the first two sectors if I'm lucky, and then after that it's so hard to get the gears right, get the turning right, and to kind of keep going. But they seem to be able to think beyond the driving as well, isn't it? They seem to have that extra, like the Schumachers and all these the F1 guys, isn't it? They're fit enough, they can see beyond the driving, the basic driving.
Yeah, I think so. I used to watch a lot of training videos for motorcycle racing, and one of the famous guys is Keith Code, and he has this little analogy of a $10 bill, and he says when you first start riding on track, he tears a small little piece off at the top corner, and he says the rest of the note is what you're using to ride the motorcycle at the moment. Once you've gone through a few training sessions or whatever, he tears off a bigger piece, and he says, now this is what you're using to ride the motorcycle. The rest is helping you go faster. So the more you train, the more you get better at driving a car or a motorcycle. The piece that you tear off is what you're using to think about other stuff, and you're not focusing on the racing as much. So guys like all the top guys in tier one, you know, they use a very minuscule part of their $10 bill to try and drive the car. What they're using the majority is to figure out their strategy. They even pay attention to when the other guys are pitting and what tires they're coming out with. Like, I don't have time to look at that detail when I'm trying to go around the track, but they seem to be able to do that, and they remember at what lap those guys pitted. Like, I mean, that's next level.
I think they're going to be quite athletic for that, or certainly have a fit mind to be able to apply all of that as well as drive and race. But by the time you get to my age at 50, that's no longer. Well, I've never been able to do that anyway. But you know,
well, Leclerc is young, and he forgot that he wasn't allowed to qualify. So I mean, I think you're in good. You're in good company there.
I was going to say
I had a long weekend. Girlfriend's here. Arrived late, so everything just flew.
You know, I was going to say, when you first told me what had happened, I thought that's a fantastic thing. You just turned up for qualifying anyway. It's the kind of thing that Ferrari would have done with Michael Schumacher all those years ago. That they would just say, "No, we've got a plan, but we'll just do it anyway." You know, so he just does a lap and gets pole position or something like that. You know, but that was the kind of thing they would have tried, and they wouldn't have admitted it at the end. That they were waiting for the stewards to decide as to what was going to be allowed or not. But I still think that time. Remember when he crashed at Monaco? In front of Alonso, and it did look like, did he do it? Did he not do it? It was kind of, you wonder, and then to get the pole position, because I think, you know, it would have been amazing if he'd been starting on, you know, with a Mercedes, a big comeback, and if he had started on pole with that, I would have been quite. I would have been quite happy if he had done, because it would have added quite a lot to the race. I used to love the mind games that these guys used to play on each other. Were something else, weren't they? So. But no, it's quite a thing. So as we've got lots of TNR guys in the house, which is brilliant, and it's great to see everyone. It's great to see everyone in the chat as well. Feel free to put your questions to our two special guests tonight, and we'll put them to them. But in coming to the close, we talked earlier about the top guys. We think Levitius, VNR, Richard, are doing very well. But there's so many JDJs doing well. He's still in third place. And all the new chaps coming in. It's just a wonderful example of a GD7 league that's really making the most of its abilities, and it's great to see it grow. And of course, there's going to be races right the way pretty much throughout the year. Do you find that when you finish a race, you're quite satisfied, even if it's maybe not got the best result, but are you enjoying being part of the MSA Cup? I'll go with you, Laquera, first.
Oh, 100%, 100%. It's an environment that, you know, I'm currently enjoying, and because it's my second season right now, if we're counting the previous one. So far, like, this competition is very, very tight, and I'm enjoying the competition. And it's so close, you know. So there's also room for improvement. You can sneak there in tier 1, come back again. And then, it's a very, very, I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. It's a great experience. And I could say that there's much room for me to grow in terms of racing online. And I'll just take it as it goes.
Yeah. And it looks like there might be, in future championships or future events, there might be an international event where you'll be kind of competing against other countries and the other sim racers from across the globe, which will be really exciting to see how that grows and develops, which is great. And how about you, Sean? Are you enjoying being part of the MSA Cup?
I absolutely love it. It's when you get to our age, you don't bounce as well as the youngsters do when you fall off your motorbike or car, crash your car, things like that. So I can race hard and I don't get hurt. And it's a lot cheaper. So I really love the SMA group because it's just a fantastic group of guys that volunteer their own time to allow us to race in a great league. We've now got the backing of MSA, which in turn means we are affiliated to FIA.
Yeah.
And you don't get that in many places, especially in South Africa. I think it's only other games like Assetto Corsa that has that kind of affiliation. And, guys like Robin that work quietly in the background, putting together marketing for the league. You'll see us on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. We are everywhere, and it's really helping youngsters come into the sport. I met a youngster recently, 17 years old. He's got his first rig and steering wheel, and he's so excited. He's joined the league. He's obviously started at the bottom, but not long from now, he's going to be sitting where we are.
And sometimes it just takes a while to get used to how to race, isn't it? And how, just the whole, because it's a new game, it's a completely new thing. And if you're not driven a car of any experience, you have to learn. But and you find your area of where your competitive ability is, and then you can, as you say, you can grow it from there.
Yeah, the biggest, I would say, two things are the biggest hurdles for me. Is that number one, I come from a motorcycle background, and because of that, I'm very cautious. Trail braking on a motorcycle is a totally different ball game to trail braking in a car. And so I'm very cautious and hesitant sometimes when it comes to pushing lap times or putting in an overtake, which is to my detriment. The second thing is making the car in the game do what I want to do. I have the racecraft. I've done lots of real racing. But the problem is to get the physics of the car right. To understand that takes time. And that's why the guys at Tier 1 have generally been playing for many years. And the other thing is, coming from an environment where you've got a helmet on, you've got no one talking to you. Now you're on a team party chat, and the guys are the guys are talking to each other about who's, what's the gap between you and the guy behind you, what's his lap times looking like, and all that conversation distracts me sometimes. So now I end up muting it sometimes and just driving in quiet. But that's, the more experienced guys, they've become very good with being part of the team, and that certainly helps you do well.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. But it's a great contest and a great championship, and the way it's growing, the way that people are competing, and the races that we're getting, the overtakes, and the fact that just how close it is. It's a very different kettle of fish to the SMA we saw earlier, which was very competitive. But this one is really giving everybody a good run for their money, and demanding the best of their abilities, if they're going to do well. But it's been phenomenal to have you on the show tonight. I very much appreciate the two of you coming on and putting your time aside to do the interview tonight. We'll be back again next week with more interviews, I believe, for Tier 3 as the championship goes on, and we'll find out how things have gone for round 5. It will be at Laguna Seca. That's going to be one you don't want to miss. Now, we do have the link in the description for the SMA. So if you've not already subscribed to them, please do so. It's in the description down below on our YouTube channel. I'll be streaming again. It will be on Monday, hopefully for the new races, and Thursday for the time trial. And it's been going really, really well. I have to say, I had 12,000 people watch my stream last Thursday because I used the shorts. So unfortunately, the shorts channel wasn't working today when I tried it. But it still did pretty well. But yeah, it's a great way of getting out to people using the shorts channel, and with Streamlabs you can now stream straight to it, which is handy. So I might do the odd little stream here and there. But I wish you all the best for Monday, for your races on Monday, Laquera and Sean. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. And please stay on the line as I come to close the show. But you've been watching the Hugh Hatrick Show with the stars of the MSA Cup. And it is, of course, Sean and Laquera. Thank you very much for watching. And we'll see you again very soon. Drive fast.
All right, cheers.
And don't crash.
Appreciate it.
Bye, just
all right, cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
All right.